all you positive heads out there. Thanks for tuning your beautiful brainwaves into another episode of the Positive Head Podcast, where we are firmly convinced that creating success and happiness is rooted in understanding the ultimate nature of reality. And the fact that as human beings, we are all immensely powerful fractals of the one and only source consciousness, which creates and animates all things. Now, of course, understanding this powerful truth is one thing. Applying this incredibly empowering wisdom to everyday life, well, that's another. Which is exactly why we provide you with a fresh serving of soul food for thought 5 days a week. To help constantly remind you of what matters most. You are it. And I'm your host for the day, Erica Middlemiss. I am just another reflection and extension of you who will be here filling in for our beloved host, Brandon Beecham, leading the way to ensure your perspective is consistently expanded, your vibration is constantly elevated, and your heart is overflowing and full. Also, this episode of the Positive Head Podcast is being brought to you thanks to the support of Gaia. If you're not familiar, Gaia is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content online. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out. All right, all you positive heads, welcome back to another magical Monday. I hope you are all feeling the magic of the day and you are harnessing the power of your magician self. We are all magicians. We are all creating our universe every single day. Every day we wake up is another opportunity to create a new life, a new day, and to use our power differently. And today I was thinking about all the different ways that we use our power. And sometimes we don't use it properly. Sometimes we allow our emotions that are not quite so positive to get the best of us. And when we do that, sometimes it's hard to get out of it. But I think it's really important to remember how powerful emotions are. And that magic is done with true, powerful emotions. It reminds me of, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the Charmed series that was on in the 80s. 3 sisters who were witches. And the way that they learned how to use their powers was through their emotions. So at first, when they would get angry, they would blow things up, things like that. But they had to learn to use their emotions properly because that is where all their power is. And so when we're using our power in the wrong way with our emotions, this can be pretty detrimental. So we have to be really, really careful about where our thoughts are. So I wanted to talk about this a little bit today. But before we get into it, of course, I'd like to read a review. We always love these. You guys know how much we appreciate them, how much Brandon absolutely loves getting them, how much it fuels his fire every day to keep creating these podcasts, to do this on a daily basis. And so we really, really appreciate you guys reaching out and letting us know how you feel about the podcast. And this one is from Charlie Comer. It's called inspirationforafteralife.com. I want to give Brandon Beecham and his Positive Head podcast some love. As a death investigator, I've spent my career helping families understand death, investigations, and the paranormal. Upon the tragic loss of my family, I was left searching for answers myself and stumbled upon the podcast. Positive Head was such a big part in helping me change my mindset and inspiring me to create a website to help families impacted by death called afteralife.com. Keep on creating, Brandon, and I look forward to expanding with you. Wow, Charlie, that is awesome. Thank you so much for writing that review. And interesting that this is essentially what I was thinking about talking about today, these difficult times in our life and what we do with them. So I think it's beautiful that you took such a tragic loss and you turned it into something beautiful in order to help others. And I think that that's a big reason why we go through anything that we go through in the first place. All of the difficulties, all of the challenges, we go through them partly so we can have the experience to then help others who are going through it. And maybe we volunteered to have that experience just so we could help others. Or maybe we just needed the experience for ourselves to learn from. But usually, if you're here in service to others, a lot of times you're learning this so you can actually turn around and help somebody else. And that's beautiful. And that's one of the things that we can think about and remember when we are going through a difficult time is, how can I use this to help others? So thank you, Charlie. Thank you for being a shining example of that. And thank you for writing that review. We appreciate you so much and we love you. So maybe you're someone who's going through a difficult time right now. Maybe you've been through a difficult time in recent past, and maybe you're going to be going through a difficult time in the near future. That's one thing we can always say, that we can't get around. We're always going to have our ups and we're always going to have our downs. You know, it's funny on this spiritual journey. It's like we think that we're going to gain or reach this place of eternal enlightenment where everything is just rainbows and glitter, and then we're going to be eternally happy and nothing will ever go wrong ever again. And when we're working so hard on ourselves and we're taking the personal responsibility and we're doing our meditation and we're going through all of these steps in order to better ourselves, and then we still experience these things, it can be a little tougher to handle. It can be a little like, hold on a second. I thought I did all this work. I thought I was working on this. I thought I had handled this. I thought I got a good grasp on it. And then here it is in your lap again. Thank you, universe. Thank you for putting this in my lap again. I guess I didn't work it out properly the first time. And now I need to work on it some more. So thank you for putting this in my lap again so that I can now truly examine it and accept it and work through this process appropriately. And the one thing that we need to be careful of in these difficult times and in these processes is thinking about where our emotions are and not letting our emotions get the best of us, because that is where our power is. The stronger the emotion, the stronger the power. So how many of you have been in a state of grief or in a state of depression where you've said things that you don't mean, said things to yourself that you don't mean, things like, this is killing me, or I don't want to do this anymore, or I never want to feel like this ever again. Now imagine you have just said those things with a lot of power behind you. So this is why we need to be careful. I know that I myself have done this, and it's like making a contract with yourself that is extremely difficult to come out of. So one of the things, for example, that I've done is in a deep state of grief, said, I never want to feel like this ever again. And what happened because of that is closed up heart. And for many, many years, I walked around with a thick, thick wall over my heart because I didn't want to feel that way ever again. I didn't realize I'd set that intention in with that power and that emotion, because later in life, I wanted to love, but I couldn't. I didn't realize what I had done. So I had to drum up that same amount of power in love. And that's the key. That's the whole key to all of this. Everything, all of this that we experience, all of the energy that we are, it all comes from love. All of the good, all of the bad, it is all love. So when we are feeling these intense emotions, how do we find the love? How do we bring that focus into our mind so we can use that power, the power of love, the most intense power there is, the power of love. So one of the ways that we can do that when we're feeling these emotions is first of all, when we're going through this, realize that there is a time for feeling it. And when it's time to feel it, just feel it. But remember, this is not a place to stay in for too long of a period of time. Okay, so feel your emotions, but process them, go through them, and let them go. And when you let them go, replace them with thoughts of gratitude and with thoughts of love. So within any situation where you're feeling distraught, grief, depression, I promise you, you can find the gratitude. You can find somewhere, something to be grateful for that day. So that's where you place your focus. What am I grateful for? Write it down. Keep a gratitude journal every single morning, every single night. What am I grateful for? And set intentions that when I'm feeling this way, when I feel that I am not in control of my energy, I will remember to find the love in the moment, because I know that that is all that there is. We can remember in these times too that it is in the darkness where we find our light, where we find our power. If it wasn't for the darkness showing us this contrast, how would we ever know the difference? How would we learn? We really wouldn't, would we? And it's interesting too. So along this spiritual journey that we are all going along, this is a long journey. This is a never-ending, continual journey. And as you are learning to harness your power of love, and you build your light becomes brighter and brighter. What happens then, because this is a polarized universe, because everything is in balance, when you have a bright light, you're also going to get the attention of the corresponding darkness, because the universe always needs to be in balance. The light always needs to be balanced by the dark. So as we progress on this journey, we have this beautiful opportunity to confront our darkness. And we have this opportunity over and over and over again, because the journey is continual. And just when we think we've reached this level of understanding, this is when the test or the challenge comes. So what we need to remember is, how are we viewing it? How are we using our power in this situation? Am I remembering to see the love in this moment? Am I able to look at this negativity and this darkness in the face and say, thank you. I love you. I forgive you. Thank you for helping me see the light. Thank you for helping me realize my own power. Thank you for helping me strengthen my will, because in my thoughts, I can get out of this thought process that I don't find pleasing. I can focus on the love. So when we change the way we look at things, right, the things that we look at change. So if we're suffering and we're miserable and we're depressed and we can't quite feel like we can control our minds, we just need to take that step and remember to keep trying and to be persistent over and over. Remember, find the love, find the gratitude in that moment. It will always ease, always ease. And I'll tell you what, one really helpful tool is meditation. And I can't stress that enough. There's a huge difference you will find if you are doing a meditative practice on a daily basis, and if you are not, in terms of how you are going to react to stressful situations that come up in your life. When you're able to maintain a meditative practice, and you do that on a daily basis, the way that you respond to things is completely different. The way that your body feels things is different. When you're able to focus your mind on the fact that all you are is love in meditation every day, then being able to find the love in the moments where things get difficult becomes a lot easier, because you've already laid that foundation. So I found a clip that goes over this a little bit by Alan Watts. It's called How to See Through the Game. And I found this on the Infinite Wisdom YouTube page. So take a listen.
The only way to handle danger is to face it. If you start getting frightened of it, then you make it worse, because you project onto it all kinds of bogies and threats which don't exist in it at all. Whenever you meet a ghost, don't run away, because the ghost will capture the substance of your fear and materialize itself out of your own substance and will kill you eventually, because it will take over all your own vitality. So then, whenever confronted with a ghost, walk straight into it, and it will disappear. We've got to survive. You must survive. That's the great thing we're all working under, and pounding it out day after day in anxiety. Because this is a description of anxiety. Anxiety is the fear that one of a pair of opposites might cancel the other forever. And if by any chance, by any means, you find out that that is not so, you have an entirely new attitude to what human beings are doing, which may be very creative, but which also may be very dangerous. You see through the game. You are only just kidding that you're just poor little me. See, the function of a guru, that is to say a spiritual teacher in India, is to give you a funny look in the eye. Because you come to him and say, Mr. Guru, I have problems. I suffer, and it's a mess, and I can't control my mind, and I'm miserable and depressed, and so on. And he gives you a funny look. And you feel a bit nervous about the way he looks at you. Because he's reading your thoughts. And this man is a great magician. He can read everything that's in you. He knows right down into your unconscious, and you know all the dreadful things you've thought, and all the awful desires you have, and you are rather embarrassed that this man looks right through you and sees them all. But that's not what he's looking at. He's giving you a funny look for quite another reason altogether. Because he sees in you the Brahman, the Godhead, just claiming it's poor little me. And that's why he gives you a funny look. And why he seems to see right through you. As if to say, Shiva, oh boy, don't kid me. I know who you are. But you're coming on beautifully in this act. That you're somebody else altogether. And I congratulate you, you're doing a wonderful job. Playing this part, which you call the person, my person. So, it's all very well. Anybody can have ecstasy. Anybody, as a matter of fact, can become aware that he is one with the eternal ground of the universe. But since that's what you are anyway, I'm going to ask, so what? When a hero goes on an adventure, and he leaves his people, and is going to a strange land, he can go away and just hide himself round the corner in an obscure house, and then appear a year later and say, I've been on a heroic journey, and tell all sorts of tales. And they say, prove it. Because they expect him to bring back something which nobody has seen before. Then they believe you've been on a journey. So in the same way exactly, anybody who goes on a spiritual journey must bring something back. Because if you just say, oh man, it was a gas. Anyone can say that. Now this is why in the doctrines of Buddhism there is a differentiation between two kinds of enlightened beings. They are both forms of Buddha, which is to say the word Buddha means somebody who has awakened, who has discovered the secret behind all this. And in other words, all this thing we call life with its frantic concerns is a big act, which you, in your unconscious depths, are deliberately setting up. So you can do one of two things when you discover this. You can become what's called a pratyeka Buddha. That means a private Buddha, who doesn't tell anything. Or you can become a bodhisattva. Pratyeka Buddha goes off into his ecstasy and never is seen again. Bodhisattva is one who comes back and appears in the everyday world and plays the game of the everyday world by the rules of the everyday world. But he brings with him upaya. He brings with him some way of showing that he's been on the journey, that he's come back, and he's going to let you in on the secret too. If you'll play it cool and also come back to join in the everyday life of everyday people. The first thing then is to discover what indeed you do love, if anything, and you will find there is something. And then go into the nature of that. Now it's said that selfish people love themselves, is something which you thought was other than yourself. Even if it be very ordinary things such as ice cream or booze, in the conventional sense, booze is not you, nor is ice cream. It turns into you in a manner of speaking when you consume it, but then you don't have it anymore. And so you look around for more in order to love it once again. But so long as you love it, you see, it's never you. When you love people, even however selfishly you love them, because of the pleasant sensations they give to you, still, it is somebody else that you love. And as you inquire into this, as you follow honestly your own selfishness, many interesting transformations begin to come about in you. One of the most interesting transformations of being directly and honestly selfish, in the same way that, for example, cats are, is that you stop deceiving people. If what you define as you is inseparable from everything which you define as not you, just as front is inseparable from back, then you realize that deep down between self and other there is some sort of conspiracy. If these things always occur in combination and look very different from each other and feel quite different, nevertheless the feeling of difference between them allows each one to exist. And so underneath the opposition or the polarity between self and other, or between any other pair of opposites you can think of, there is something in common, as there is, for example, between figure and background. You can't see a figure without a background. You can't have an organism without an environment. Equally, you can't have a background without a figure, or an environment without organisms in it, or without things in it. You can't have space which is unoccupied by any solid. You cannot have solids not occupying some space. This is absolutely elementary, and yet we don't realize it, because, for example, the average person thinks that space is nothing. But it's just a sort of not there-ness in which there are things. And we are slightly afraid that not there-ness, that nothingness, that darkness, that the negative poles of all these oppositions will win. That they will eventually swallow up every kind of being and every kind of there-ness. But when you catch on to the game, you realize that that won't happen. Because what is called not existing is quite incapable of being there without the contrast of something called existing. It's like the crest and the trough of a wave. You can't have a wave that is all trough and no crest, just as you can't have a wave which is all crest and no trough. Such a thing has never been manifested in the physical universe. They go together. And that is the secret. There really is no other secret than that. That is the secret.
So I guess that's it. That's the secret, isn't it? That's the secret. The secret is that we must have both the positive and the negative in this physical universe. They go together. They have to. Without the darkness, we wouldn't have the light. I like the analogy he uses at the beginning about when you see a ghost, when you're in front of danger, and if you're afraid of it, how you can make it worse with your projection. So when we come face to face with our ghosts or our demons, we don't run away. We have to look it straight in the face, confront it, walk straight into it, and it will disappear. Otherwise, we allow our fear to get the better of us and then materialize those things that which we are afraid of. So instead, we can look at it completely different. We can see through the game like he was talking about. We can realize that these opposites have to be there. And there is nothing good, there is nothing bad about them. It's just the game of life. And this game is like a play where we are the actor of our own show. And we do a great job playing the part of our person, don't we? But we can't forget that we are just Brahma. We are God. We are always God, just playing a person. Makes it a little easier when you remember that. And when we remember that we are not separate from anything or anybody, that we exist in unison together in this universe. And there is no separation. Things always occur in combination. Yes, they look different and they feel different, but these differences are what allow the other to exist as one whole. So polarities, when you look at them at first, can be a little scary. We can be afraid of the darkness or the nothingness or the negative. We're afraid that it might win. But when you catch on to this game, you know that can't happen. There's no ability for that to happen. There is no winning. Everything exists all at once. Non-existence can't exist without existence. There will always be the wave and the crest, the ebb and the flow, the night and the day. It's part of what we are. It's part of the oneness that makes this whole existence beautiful. So we just need to remember when we feel like there are negative forces or negative energies, and we feel like these things are external to us or controlling us or blocking us in some way, we just need to remember that none of this is outside of you. All of this is you. It cannot be anyone else's because everything is you. Everything we experience in our lives is our own energy. When other beings or other situations come into our life with their own energy, the only reason we experience it is because we've matched to that vibration. We've allowed our energy to match to that vibration. And then we create that experience internally for our own selves. So this really is the secret. Everything is you, and you are everything. There is no energy within you that is not your own. And because of that, we can learn to harness our power because it is all inside us all the time. And that power is the love that we are, the love that we are created from, and the love that we create. We just need to remember to focus our will and use our power properly. Not so simple, sounds so simple, but if we take that conscious daily effort, we can all do it. And we can all find the love in every moment and be grateful. I'm going to read a law of one quote to leave you with today. We leave you in appreciation of the circumstances of the great illusion in which you now choose to play the pipe and timbrel and move in rhythm. We are also players upon a stage. The stage changes. The acts ring down. The lights come up once again. And throughout the grand illusion and the following, There is the undergirdling majesty of the one infinite creator. All is well. Nothing is lost. Go forth rejoicing in the love and the light, the peace and the power of the one infinite creator. With that, y'all, I'm out of imaginary time for today. Thank you all for joining me. I'm going to leave you with a song by Trevor Hall called The Fruitful Darkness. Till next time, everybody. Love you all. Also, if you're craving more consciousness elevating content, be sure to check out Gaia, which is the go-to source for streaming consciousness content on the web, where you can stream an incredible 7,000 plus exclusive videos covering 5,000 years of wisdom. As you all hear Brandon constantly say, it is a daily conscious effort to maintain an elevated vibration, and if you're looking to journey deep down the rabbit hole to do so, then Gaia is the best place we know of to do it, period. And you can sign up for your first month for only 99 cents at gaia.com/positivehead. That's spelled GAIA.com/positivehead. Check it out.
Infinite calm, crystal clear. Calm, clear.
When I look back on those years gone by, all those mountains standing in my mind, I could have folded, could have turned around, but all good stories have their ups and downs. So I had to find my way through. 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 The fruitful darkness is all around us in bloom.
Infinite calm, crystal clear.
It's open wide. The dark within my dark is where I found my light. The fruit became the doorway, and now it's open wide. The fruitful darkness.